I created this prompt with the goal of getting a 2000 word made by AI. And I sent this prompt to ChatGPT. It gives me 770 words, and I send the same prompt to Gemini 2.0 Flash, and it gives me a slightly better response at 829 words. But those two answers are still far away from the 2000 word response that I'm expecting AI to generate. Now, it is not that it is impossible to get a 2000 word article or essay from AI, but there are some limitations that are preventing AI from producing that kind of output. So despite so many improvements, AI is still really bad at counting words. And I saw many people discussing this very problem. They use all sort of prompting techniques, but at the end of the day, they can only get maybe 1000 words per AI response. And there are many reasons of why that happened. For one, AI cannot count words because it uses something called tokens, and token is different than words. So in large language models like ChatGPT or Gemini, a token is just a basic unit of data. One token is usually about 0.75 of a word, so 100 tokens is roughly 75 words. For example, ChatGPT with the GPT-4o model can have an output of 8,000 tokens. So if you run the number, that means we could get at least between 5,000 to 6,000 words per AI response. And yet, it is almost impossible to get anything beyond 2,000 words in most AI models, even though if you're paying for the Pro or Plus subscription. So what's going on here? Why it is seemingly impossible to reach even 1000 words in most AI models? So there is something in AI that is invisible, but it is affecting the length of the content that it can generate. And even if the model was advertised to have, let's say, a large output token, which is usually more than enough to generate 2000, 3000, or maybe even 5000 words, it is going to fail to reach its potential most of the time. So in this video, we are going to dive deeper to learn why most AI models cannot produce long responses like maybe a blog post, a story, script, or essay, and what you can do to essentially force AI to make a detailed answer. Okay, let's talk about output tokens again. It is essentially the number of tokens that AI can generate on its output. So as I said earlier, tokens in AI are about 75% of a word. ChatGPT, for example, with the GPT-4o model has an output capacity of around 8,000 tokens. And again, based on the number alone, you can run some calculations and you will get anywhere between 5,000 to 6,000 words theoretically in the AI response, which I think is pretty good if you are trying to create a long form content, video script, or even a short story. But AI normally won't be able to generate that much content in one response. And there are many reasons why this happens. Now, assuming that you have provided a detailed prompt or instruction on what are the things that AI must include in the response, then here are some ideas. The first reason is AI is simply not designed to count the same way humans do. Remember, AI does not count words, it counts the token. So one token could be just a single character or maybe a single word. And sometimes AI might split one word into multiple tokens. For example, the word darkness could be split into two tokens for dark and ness. This is why the strawberry test, which counts the number of the letter R's in the word strawberry, is a popular challenge to test if AI can understand multi-token relations. So we have discrepancy on how AI counts versus how humans count. But fortunately, the solution is quite simple. Now, instead of asking for 2000 words, try to ask something like 3000 or 4000 words. It is a good start, but of course, it is not going to guarantee that you will get a 2000 word response because there are other things that you must consider. Okay, the second reason is most likely because there is a soft limit in most AI models. So despite AI companies like Google, OpenAI, or Meta claiming that they have a big output token limit like 8,000 tokens, it usually can only happen in a rare or specific cases, and for most cases it is usually going to produce concise answers. And it is safe to assume that the company that owns the platforms will usually have some sort of soft limit on how many tokens or words that AI can generate. And I think this is logical and financially makes a lot of sense, because the more words it generates, the more computational power it requires to run the model, and therefore it is becoming very, very expensive. This is speculative, of course, but there are a lot of people having this kind of problem. They use all sorts of prompting techniques, but are unable to get anything more than 1000 words. And as I said earlier, it was a soft limit because they don't necessarily prevent people from using all the 8000 tokens in one response, but it is just extremely unlikely. One way AI companies can control the length of the output is by utilizing system prompting. So system prompting is basically a prompt that will guide AI on how it should treat the user prompt or your prompt. It is also used by AI companies to safeguard the model from producing any questionable or dangerous output. Now, we don't know what system prompt that is being used by ChatGPT or Gemini, but fortunately, Anthropic releases the system prompt that they use on the Claude AI model. In the Claude 3.7 started model, which is their latest model right now, there are many instances where AI is being instructed to give a short answer regardless of the length of the response that the user preferred. In their system prompt, you will find a lot of instructions that will make AI give a short or somewhat concise answer. It can still generate a long answer, but most of the time it's going to prefer a short answer. Now, to combat that, you can ask AI to split the answer into two sections. You can ask it to generate the first half of the article and then another half later in the follow-up message. It is not the most pretty solution, but at least it is something that we can do quite easily. And finally, I think the reason AI cannot generate a long answer is because the AI model has very limited output tokens. Now let's go back to the initial examples earlier in this video. Both GPT-4o and Gemini 2.0 Flash have the same amount of output token limit, which is 8192 tokens. And interestingly, though not surprisingly, they generate roughly the same amount of words per response. But using the same prompt, I was able to generate a 1700 words article using Claude 3.7 Sonnet. And this model has 128,000 tokens, which is 15 times larger than ChatGPT and Gemini. So apparently there is a correlation between the maximum output limit and the length of the answer that AI can generate. Though keep in mind that it is extremely unlikely that you can make Claude 3.7 Sonnet to generate or use all the 128,000 tokens. But if you're asking for a small amount like 3,000 or 5,000 tokens, that's basically just like a walk in the park for this model. So with that data alone, it is safe to say that if you want to get a long answer, then use an AI model that has a big output limit. And Claude 3.7 Sonnet is clearly one example, and it is my favorite model to generate content or answers for daily questions. But ChatGPT and Gemini can also have a big output limit, but usually that limit is only being unlocked in third-party platforms like AI writing tools or maybe Perplexity. And if you want to know more about generating a long content using a platform like Perplexity, then check out this video and I'll see you there.